health throughout my life. A keen skier, I played tennis at least once a week, every week, for over 20 years. I've never broken a bone or spent any time in hospital, apart from the birth of my children, until then. Out of the nowhere, my world was turned upside down, as that of my family. As always, I turned to see me through, I turned to humour. As Edmund Blackadder ruefully observed, I'm in the stickiest situation since Sticky the Stickers got stuck on a sticky bun. How do we tell the children? What and when do we tell the children? My wife and I have 5 between us, from 13 to 23. That's when the fear kicks in. Fear of the unknown, fear for the future, and even fear of fear. If I stumble or falter over words during this talk, please forgive me. It's not because I've had a drink, although God knows I need one now. It's just another symptom of the cancer I have. I refuse to accept the prognosis, the loss of any sense of hope that oncologist had stolen from me. Professor Henry Marsh, the leading neurosurgeon, in his book Do No Harm, is never to take hope away from anybody. Nobody has that right, ever. I set out to seek an alternative. I embarked on a steep learning curve. Even most of the language was alien to me. I didn't know the difference between medical and clinical oncology. Why would I? In truth, I still don't know. One can specify radiation and the other uses medicines, I think. In other words, I like that, whilst one plays with a Carnot set, the other plays with a Kingsford set. Research began in earnest. I scoured the web and found some amazing cutting-edge treatments, predominantly through American University med schools. I consulted with my peach of a neurosurgeon. He put me in touch with a doctor who was one of the most and almost unique, at least in this country, forward-thinking medical oncologists. I started an alternative therapy at University College Hospital in London. It gave me hope, at least to begin with. The therapy was brutal, physically, emotionally, and financially it was ruinous. In and out of hospital for months, infusions of ipilimumab, Avastin, chemo, MRI scans, radiotherapy, which is like sticking your head in a microwave, reaching over and pressing the cook button. Blood tests and pills, more pills, so many bloody pills. Then came the home care. Treatment went on and on. I felt so ill, so tired. I forgot much of what happened over the summer. I was so angry. I became furious when anyone tried to make me eat. It was degrading. I felt perpetually embarrassed, humiliated, and ashamed. It was horrific and ghastly for those around me. In short, I became something of a monster. I swapped my driving license for a disabled blue badge, lost 2 stone, lost my hair. I was bedridden for 6 months. It put a huge strain my language. I stopped taking new contracts for my business, and I couldn't plan anything. Everything I knew changed. I felt my life was in freefall, inexorably falling apart at the seams. Individually, each of these aspects of my life, the ones I suppose help to define who I am, were dealable withable, especially hers. But cumulatively, they seemed to take everything away that was me. I'd had a long career as a Mayfair man, working as a commercials and television producer, followed by some years here in Oxford, spent running my own landscape design and construction business. I was a fixer, a problem solver, and yet I couldn't fix this. Pushkin, the Russian poet, said, "I'm in the rock, I've drunk too deeply of the cup. I cannot spend, I cannot fuck. I'm down and out and all buggered up." That's how I felt. Research has indicated that within a generation, cancer will affect nearly all of us. 1 in 2 will get it, and 1 in 4 of us will die from it. Those are the hard facts. Immunology, the treatment I look to, gene therapy, and targeted ultrasound is the future, especially in my case. Not more chemo, not more radiation. We have one of the poorest survival records for cancer in the world here in the UK. Diagnosis takes too long, and the protocols for treatment haven't changed, in most cases, for over 20 years. But, as is inevitable, it takes time, a willingness to change, effort, money, a lot of money, in investment to change anything. Funding for research is key. That's a real battle here in the UK. We're getting it so wrong. Fighting between government departments, quangos, big pharma companies, the NHS and patients is virtual war. It's a bit like that old First World War maxim: ready, fire, aim. Or as Blackadder put it, a war hasn't been fought this badly since Olaf the Hairy, High Chief of all the Vikings, accidentally ordered 80,000 battle helmets with the horns on the inside. So what have I learned? As Andrew pointed out, it's certainly not wisdom, but maybe some insight. Cancer is strange. It behaves oddly. Why is it that some people who have smoked all their lives don't get lung cancer, whereas some young people who've never smoked do? My own cancer is as inexplicable as it is terminal. A genetic mutation of cells. There is no cure as yet. It is a random act and can and does happen to anyone. To quote Donald Rumsfeld, as we know, there are known knowns. There are things we know. In my case, for example, how to produce a commercial or design a garden. We also know there are known unknowns. That is to say that we know there are some things we do not know, like the inner workings of a nuclear power station. But there are also unknown unknowns, the ones we don't know, You don't know. And that's what diagnosed with cancer feels like. An unknown. But I've never, and I certainly don't, feel sorry for myself. How could I? It could be anyone, so why not me? But I do feel robbed of time. I always thought 3 and 10, or thereabouts, would be fair. I really felt that time was due to me. That it was my intangible right. But how arrogant is that? Because we ain't owed anything. What we are given is a blessing. It's up to each and every one of us to realise that. Life is precious, and anything can happen, and does happen, to anyone. The past year or so has been a roller coaster of a ride for my family, my friends, and me. I've been angry, devastatingly upset, deeply frustrated, scared, cried, but also, sometimes, even laughing. I've been helped by my loved ones, especially my wife, Mary, to whom I owe my life, quite literally. My family, friends, some old, some new, specialised doctors and nurses and therapists are now practicing mindfulness. I'm not ill, I'm not mad. I didn't want to meet other cancer people. I didn't want to go to Maggie's drop-in centre or to meet other people just because they also have cancer. I'm a person, not just a cancer sufferer. Yes, I was wrong. When I met Polly and John, it lightened my load. And when I practice what I call mindlessness, it slowly helps me to learn to live with a terminal diagnosis, to find a way of living with the enormity of knowing I'm time limited. It sounds trite, but I promise you it is not. Mindfulness has helped me focus and live in the moment, which means your thoughts can't be running ahead of themselves, thinking, gosh, I'm about to die. And my vicar, Andrew Bunch, who counselled me on forgiveness, is now helping me to reconnect with my faith. So what are the lessons? Humour has helped me so often throughout my life and continues to play a vital part. Never walk past a museum or gallery without going in to look, and even just one piece. The kindness of people, even of relative strangers, has been eye-opening. From chocolate brownies left on the doorstep to simple no-presser standing invitations. As Roald Dahl said, I think probably kindness is my #1 attribute in a human being. I'd put it before any of the things like courage, or bravery, or generosity, or anything else. If you can't, that's it. And I'm learning to be kinder to others and even to myself. A life is made up of a series of moments, many, many moments. Seize them fully, explore them fully. I can't plan ahead, so I try not to. All I have, all we have, is this moment, right now. Or as Buddha said, do not dwell on the past. Do not dream of the future. Concentrate the mind on the present moment. I also like Philip Larkin's thoughts about none of us being able to get out of bed in the morning if we had any real sense of our own mortality. That is what diagnosed with cancer is like. You are suddenly faced with the prospect of dying, in real terms, probably for the first time. We all think we know, we're merely mortal, that we'll all die at some point, but it's still a shock when you get smacked in the face with it. And to that oncologist who stole any sense of hope I had nearly a year ago, I want to shout from rooftops, I'm still here. I skied over New Year, something I didn't believe I'd ever do again, with my wife, our children, family, and some friends. I cried as I was so happy. I think there were times when, for the first time since Boxing Day 2015, some or all of us forgot, for a moment or two, I was even ill. It was a most splendid day, and I intend there will be many more most splendid days. When I felt ill, I gave up work. I couldn't work. Treatment made me so ill. Now that I'm reasonably well again, and clearly I'm not dead, I need to think about doing some work again. Not a challenge I thought I would see again. So by the way, I'm looking for a job. Going back to Donald Rumsfeld about unknown unknowns. Death is fickle and unreliable. He is the timekeeping approach of a British train, turning up unexpectedly early, running late, or impossibly late, rather than the steady reliability of, say, Big Ben, or the Radio 4 beeps that come so faithfully on the hour. But he is coming at some point. The thing is, you can never tell when. None of us can. In 1948, Winston Churchill, in his book, The Gathering Storm, quoted this short poem. Who's in charge of the clattering train? The axles creak and the couplings strain, and the pace is hot and the points are near. Sleep hath deadened the driver's ear, and the signals flash through the night in vain, for death is in charge of the clattering train. Living with such uncertainty is hard. As humans, we like concrete plans, and I can't make many of those. In my darkest moments, I take comfort again in the words of Philip Larkin. What will survive us is love. Love is all, really, that matters. Andrew Bunch said to my wife and me earlier last year, do everything with love, and you can't go too bad. I've now run to my allotted time, so to speak, and will hand over to the lovely Polly and then to John. We will then be happy to answer any questions that you may have. And afterwards, please join us for tea and coffee and some delicious, healthy biscuits and cakes kindly donated by Melissa and Leah of the Modern Baker in Somertown. I leave you with one final thought, to quote Blackadder in a conversation with his sidekick Baldwin. My lord, have you a plan? Baldwin, I have come up with a plan so cunning you can stick a tail on it and call it a weasel. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you, Andrew, for arranging today for us a chance to talk. Thank you, Tom, for such a heartfelt talk. And some of my words will duplicate what you said, which will add to the authenticity. My name is Polly Holbrook, and it is 20 years since I was first diagnosed with breast cancer. Firstly, in 1997, it was a primary cancer with hope and reprieve, but still a life-changing moment and a deep shock for the close family and friends. After months of treatment, I then had years of busy, usual life. I worked in Esher, travelled to wonderful places, drew, had exhibitions, and took many photographs in case that particular journey was through my last holiday. This feeling was present and was all the time affecting my mind, the thought that the cancer could come back. I still had my youngest daughter at home to help me, and my other daughter and her husband, who lived in Florida, gave me many healthy holidays. My son patiently taught me the intricacies of the internet. In 2011, I had what the doctor called asthma, but eventually I had an X-ray, and this showed pleural cancer, and later more tests discovered done extensive metastases. This is what, for me, is called secondary caries, or secondary breast cancer, and it's an incurable advanced cancer. It had been 14 years since my initial diagnosis, and I was shocked. As for all my stupid readiness, I was not prepared. A close friend who had kindly accompanied what we thought was a fairly routine appointment was as unprepared as me. She has since proved such a wonderful support for the whole 5.5 years of this advanced cancer. During these years, I was at one time given a relatively short number of months, but I'm still here. When our vicar, Andrew Bunch, invited me to take part in this series, I was surprisingly reassured, as it seemed I would still be here today. Cancer is like that. Nothing is to take for granted. The future is very, very uncertain and insecure. Frankly. But I do have the support and strength of my faith, and this has never left me. I found the title, Chaos to Creativity, an apt choice from my personal experience. Tom, John, and I did have an email exchange on the title of our talks today, and I must say that I liked Tom's allusion to the sticky bone, but perhaps the connection was a little obscure for some, possibly too flippant for such a serious subject. But perhaps what we're doing is to attempt to familiarise the illness and create less fear of the unknown. We did find at our first meeting, as you mentioned, that although we had not met together before we could share before, we could share a kind of dark humour about our mutual condition, and this title would have echoed that. As the author of Wind, Sand and Stars, Antoine Saint-Exupéry said, creativity, an experience that enhances life. And many help books and courses speak of harnessing the energy of chaos and channeling it into creativity, as we heard in last week's talk. This is not easy, but I'm still here after years of fear, deep hidden panic and uncertainty. But there are moments of pure happiness because I found strength in my determination to find some kind of acceptance and to develop ways of living with my diagnosis. One direction I found very helpful and rewarding is in developing my drawing and painting and meeting fellow artists who do not know about my health. This can be illustrated by the story of a good friend who told me recently that my attitude has been one of not having time for cancer. All that glitters is not gold. So, from my initial years of primary disease, I knew when I was re-diagnosed how I should try to manage from my previous experience, although it was still a severe shock. I remembered how in 1997, how wonderfully my family, friends, and neighbours in North Parade had supported me with my still young family. Now this time the children are older, but they are still so helpful, and I have to remember that they share the pain of my incurable prognosis, and that they in turn need my support. It's so easy to become selfish and want the attention because I am the one who actually has the cancer, but they also suffer. Anyway, who knows who will fall under that bus first? But I, and those close to me, have learned to understand so much. This is another aspect of creation from the acquired knowledge. The mysteries of cancer to our non-medical family have become facts, and by this creative learning, the frightening invisible became visible, tangible. Really appreciate all the immense volume of international research and the caring treatment I get from my doctor and the Churchill in Oxford. I've been taking amazing drugs very recently accepted in this country, and I've stayed on them far longer than expected. I cannot hope for the impossible, but I can hope that the strength given me through my faith and for the understanding achieved to give shape to the now less scary elephant in our midst. I was given 14 years before the cancer returned, and I was so grateful to be given those years. But by this time, somehow the knowledge of the development of an advanced incurable diagnosis hits harder. The elephant had proceeded so far it was almost forgotten. Once again, I am so very fortunate to have such a caring family and friends, and I do not look so ill. I've learnt to be grateful and to thank the Lord for my present life, but I know the cancer is still there. I'm also grateful I live long enough to see my children married and to know my 8 wonderful grandchildren. I can talk with them and pass on knowledge and happy memories for them coming on. I can get greedy and hope to see the grandchildren married, but I'm nearly reaching my 70. I must just be so very content with what I have. But though I have an advanced prognosis, I've not given in. When I feel tired, irritable, and cannot travel, I find other things to do. I pray that I will continue to find strength and support, and then the enveloping love from the Lord surrounds me, and I feel I continue to fight the prognosis. Some people say that the word fight is a misnomer, but to me it certainly is a fight against an enemy. The determination must be the same as aroused when preparing to go into battle. I deliberated whether I include the following paragraph, but I decided to leave it in. Tom did mention to me that he had heard of similar stories, so it's not such an unusual tale. Long ago I developed a very personal form of help. I was told by my oncologist that some patients found beneficial help in envisaging cancer as a battle of minute people actually fighting and killing their cancer foes, an internal battle. From this I created my personal habit of breathing in angels. Please don't find this too curious. Angels breathe in the air of a church for the very best, breathing in deeply and then breathing them out again, whilst they carry away the cancers in their little sacks. This may sound ridiculous, but friends have followed me, and like me have found peace this way. We all have our personal acceptance schemes. Mentioning creativity again, I find that my paintings develop and become more colourful, and I now travel and observe with inspiration from my photographs I've taken in the past. The beautiful memories filter out. Creation is rebirth and so positive for me. Such feedback also gives me the strength to continue. I've no idea why I've been given this illness, but I do feel that the creativity and optimism I found through chaos has come to me through my faith, and I hope that my example will give strength to others. Thank you for listening.
for mumbling, so everyone can understand me. If you don't, you better let me know. Like a lot of people with cancer, I've had twice, but my particular cancers are unrelated. About 12 years ago, I got a husky voice. My GP prescribed antibiotics. The husk then deteriorated into a wasp. So my GP prescribed more antibiotics. 3 weeks later, my voice had practically vanished. So I whispered to the GP, he might perhaps refer me to a specialist at the hospital. And about a week later, I got a photocopy announcement from the ear, nose, and throat department, which was then situated in the infirmary of Exeter Oxford, Oxford University Press. It told me they were free books for the next 12 months, and that as they weren't allowed to make appointments more than a year in advance, they'd be in touch in due course. Very sure, I thought. My wife took rather a big view of this and phoned, which by this time I couldn't, the Ackland Hospital, which was then just down the road, where the ENT surgeon's receptionist said, you must have had a letter. So she arranged I should see the surgeon the following week. After a long and very uncomfortable look down my throat, he said, there's something there, we've got to take a look at it. Would you rather go NHS or private? What's the difference? I asked. And who'd be my surgeon if I went NHS? Well, he said, essentially, one's free and the other you pay for. But either way, I'd be the surgeon. A week later, I was surgical for general anaesthetic, and the surgeon looked over my leg and said, well, no after biopsy, but we're fairly sure it's a form of slow-growing cancer. It's attached to your left vocal cord. And I'm certain we'll be able to deal with it completely. Oh, many thanks, I said. And I was settling back to sleep when a nurse who was standing nearby said, oh dear, that must be very worrying. I thought it was a bit horrible. Anyway, I went back to sleep. I assumed that it was cancer. 4 weeks of radiotherapy, 6 weeks later, which turned out to be an exciting mix of bright lasers and vast rumbling machinery. This duty fried the cancer, and my voice came back. And after 4 years, I was unconditionally discharged. I was cured. Quite astonishing. In early November 2013, I was phoned by a distraught GP to say that my now, thankfully, retired former doctor had failed to check blood tests the previous June, which had shown me to be anemic. Thanks for letting me know, I said. No wonder I'm getting so tired. Yes, the problem, she said, is anemia in someone your age often means cancer. So I booked you for an endoscopy and colonoscopy. The JR next week. I'm terribly sorry to give you such bad news over the phone. Don't worry, I said, and thanks for getting it all sorted out so quickly. And I went back to work. thought, who knows, I might just get a course of the iron tablets. But no, the endoscopy revealed a malignant growth in my esophagus just before it joins the stomach. Not long after that, Alison and I were ushered into the office of one of the oncologists, surgeon consultants at the church, who told me, rather than manner of a man, seemed to speak, Tom, Mr. Davy, he said, you've got inoperable cancer in the esophagus with a side order of secondaries, and he called them metastases in the lungs. Oh, how long have I got? 6 months, he said. 9 at the outside. We'll arrange a course of palliative chemotherapy, but there's not much else we can do. And we'll be in touch soon with an appointment with one of the oncology consultants. Good luck. Thank you very much, I said. What do you wish me to do on occasions? Fortunately, the consultant in question turned out to be Dr. Patel, an extremely clever, very humorous woman, who over the next 2.5 years arranged what turned out to be a series of very effective courses of treatment, during all of which I felt really pretty well fit, even continuing to go to the gym. I also did on 3 very interesting drug trials. Unfortunately, after I lived quite such a long time after the initial diagnosis, the NHS ran out of ammo. There were no more treatments. Let me tell you, let no one tell you, that cancer patients, at least in my experience, are miserable. They're not. They're a cheerful bunch. No doubt, in this case, partly because the Churchill is such a very good, well-designed and well-run hospital, and we all knew just how lucky we were to be there. The immediate problem I found facing someone with cancer diagnosis is who to tell. People with cancer used to feel rather like lepers. I don't think they do quite so much now. But I told all my family, struggling in person, choose one of them to do so. And I told my close friends, if you do that, you're quite likely to find you told pretty well everyone that matters after a few weeks. On the other hand, should an acquaintance come up to you in the street and say something like, "Hi, Tom, how are you?" I don't think you need to say, "Or I've just been diagnosed with terminal cancer, I've been 6 months to live." Just say, "Well, not too bad, thanks. How are you?" Now, I've been working as a freelance editor at Publishing since 1998. For a long time, I was at OP as a linguistics editor. And since 2001, I'm making a profile books in London. Quite different kind of book. Andrew Fletcher, the managing director's first reaction was, "You've got to carry on working." And I much enjoyed it as well. Work of any kind of sustained motor activity is the perfect anesthetic. And I had a bonus of interacting with people I liked, interesting people, every day. I can truthfully say I felt happy every day for the last 3 years, from the first deeply pessimistic prognosis. Why is that? First reason is my wife. Who could not have been more thoughtful, could hear, youngest son, twice with my oldest son, Sebastian, and one memorable occasion with his two young sons on their very first fishing trip. 3 generations assembled together, much to the delight of the Lochmaddy Hotel and the Guinea. I've also witnessed my second son Alex at his part. Alice had their second daughter, a sweet girl who's now 2. And just a few weeks ago, Alison and I and our daughter Emily, her mother, went to Spain to see my third son, our son George, and his Spanish partner Nerea, and their baby daughter Aitana, who's now 4 months old. And I witnessed one of the great highlights was witnessing my daughter Emily graduate on a fine summer's day in Cambridge with a first-class degree in classics, which isn't bad for someone educated in Charter, but you can't study Latin week at all. Cancer diagnosis also gives you time to sort things out, like your out-of-date will, and to dispose of the embarrassing evidence of use. For some reason, they are completely obscure. You'll be keeping in a box in the attic for years. But there was another important dimension, rather unfashionably, I believe in God. As Pascal points out, it's the only rational thing to do, is that everyone else knows about his wager, but just in case you don't, here it is. 1. God is, or God is not. Reason cannot decide between these 2 alternatives. 2. A game is being played where heads or tails will turn up. 3. You must wager. Let us weigh the gain and the loss of wagering that God is. Let us estimate these 2 chances. If you gain all. If you lose nothing. Wager then, that's the first point, without hesitation that God is. Here's the chance of gain, here's the finite number of chances of loss. And what you stake is finite. So our proposition is of infinite force. That's pretty convincing. That tells you about the existence. That tells you about the existence, but not the nature of God. One can never know, of course, but you'll never know that, of course, but it can help in a church. And I derived enormous comfort from being a member of the congregation at St. Margaret's, and especially attending the 8 o'clock in the morning Sunday Holy Communion service, which provides a little common prayer. And even more so, I sometimes helped to serve communion, which was an extraordinary privilege and honour. And there's also Evensong. After terminal diagnosis, he got at the Churchill, Alison and I went to Evensong in New College. Sitting or standing listening to a choir that's been singing in that college since William Wickham set it up in the late 14th century. Conducted in words written by Cranmer in 1549, and quite probably, though I can't remember, featuring music composed in the 16th century. All this was to troubles of the moment into perspective. With at least 5 outstanding choirs, Oxford one of the best places in the world to hear this most beautiful of services. And I recommend it. And you don't have to be a believer to get the comfort and serenity it gives you. P.D. James, a confirmed apostle, went regularly for precisely these reasons. I'll leave it with 2 final thoughts. One comes from Dr. Coop, whom I met when he was a registrar in the trials unit of the church. You know, Mr. Daly, she was Australian. You know, Mr. Daly, we're just about to emerge from the stone age of cancer treatments and go straight into the Bronze Age. In 20 years' time, we'll be well beyond that, and able to give most cancers a good lick. And my final thought comes from Sir Liam Donaldson, the great Sir Liam Donaldson, the Chief Medical Officer before Dame Sally Davies, the one who seems to think drinking one glass of wine will give you cancer. You know, you would, there are a lot worse ways to go than cancer, and with love and a lot of Scotch whisky, the time can pass very agreeably.
I think we all owe them a huge debt of gratitude for sharing their stories with us. So thank you, all three of you, for what you've had to say. I suspect you've got lots of questions. There are some that you'll want to ask them individually. There are some that you're prepared to ask in public. If you'd like to ask a question, because we haven't got another